Hey, welcome back to Blanchy Talks Watches. Today we're going to be doing the second part of the Cuckoo clock restoration project. Now, this has been a long time coming. I'm sorry to all those people who commented both on Facebook and forums asking for the second part of this. I'm surprised it was so popular, to be honest. I just haven't got around to picking it up again. Where it left off the last day was, I believe I just gone through everything, thought there was a few parts missing, and said I would go looking through my wife's family's attic to see could I find any of the missing pieces, and unfortunately I couldn't find anything except for this, which is not much. But if you do look at the chain and hook that is attached compared to this one that I've cleaned up, it does clean up quite nicely, almost a bit too nice to be honest, because there is a massive wad of chain that I'm probably going to have to clean properly now, and I'm thinking I should have left good enough alone. But without further ado, I'll explain what I'm going to do today. So today I am going to do a light clean of the parts. I've researched into the best ways to do this, and because I think it's just dust, mostly kind of caked on either wet wipes or wet cloths, lightly soaked in water, were advised to be good for this. So I've decided I'm going to use baby wipes, as they are extremely gentle and shouldn't damage the paintwork, and I've tested on a few spots and there was no issues, so I'm going to go with that. As you can see, there is some damage around here. I'm planning on just doing a clean for now. See how we get on with that. I'm not going to touch up any of the paintwork. Then we have some broken pieces, this and such. What I'm going to do with those is I am going to glue them back together, just in one small inconspicuous point, using super glue for now. And once we have everything situated correctly and I eventually get the watch working, I will come back and I'll repair it properly with wood glue and filler as necessary. I don't want to get into that deep restoration yet, as I want to make sure I can get the mechanism working first. So we'll dive straight in. We'll start with some of the smaller parts. It doesn't look too bad. Again, these are going to get wet from the wipe, but there's not much. I'm just going to work it into the details with my fingernail. As you can see, a good bit of dirt is coming out of it. That's great. So I'm not sure how long this process is going to take, so I might speed it up. I probably will speed it up. I don't know, would anyone sit and listen to me ramble on about nothing for God knows how long this is going to take. But you can see there's quite a lot of dirt coming off this. It could be taking some of the stain off with it, but I didn't notice any discoloration on the sample pieces I tried. So I'm not too concerned about having it absolutely perfect, because it's an old clock and I'd like for it to keep its charm. Just trying to find a clean piece of the cloth as I go, and just working it back to a presentable level. I'm not too sure what I'll do to the wood to take it fully back. If I go that route, I could restain it, possibly places like this if needed, or I could put some sort of a finish on it just to lock in the patina where it is. If the clock was for myself, I'd probably just clean it and lock in the patina, because I think it tells a story. But this is for my wife's family. It was my wife's grandparents' clock originally, so I'll leave it up to them how far they'd like it to be taken. I'll just get a new wipe there, because that one is completely filthy after those 3 pieces. You can see it is coming up quite nicely compared to the back wing there to the front. Obviously the sheen will drop once it's dried out, but yeah, there's a good bit of dirt coming off. I did try to do some research online about this clock and I really couldn't find any information. And the Cuckoo clock space seems to be quite niche. I'm not too surprised by that, to be honest. And looking at my YouTube analytics, people are looking for it. One of the biggest search terms for my channel is Cuckoo clock repair. So if anyone's watching this and regularly repairs Cuckoo clocks, get on YouTube because people are looking for it. There's not much I can do beyond this clock, but look, you never know. If the series takes off, I could make it a regular thing and try and get a few more of them, but let's not get ahead of ourselves because I don't expect that to happen. Now that looks quite nice now that it's been cleaned up a bit. I'm not overly concerned about the parts that won't be visible, but I will just knock them back. But you can see it's been repaired before in a couple of places. There's a detail on that. I'm not sure what it means, but hopefully we can find out. Now onto the main body of the clock. Parts like this that are loose but still attached, I'll probably just leave as they are for now. Again, I'm hoping to get this working before I do too much to it. See, that's completely snapped off. It's actually a pin from the... Okay, yes, so what's happened is this nail here is actually at an angle and it is sticking out the side of the case. You see it just here, so I'll probably need to pull that back out. I'll have to pull that nail out and reset it to get it fitting properly. I don't know how it showed up on camera. Yeah, quite well. You can really see the difference between what I've wiped down and what I haven't. I want to be very careful around the dial and the hands because I really don't want to damage them. Another reason why I'm not fixing these down yet is if I can get this working, I would love to try pull them off and get in and give it a good clean and probably glue it back down properly. So I don't want to rush into anything permanent yet. We will just keep cleaning up and see where we can go with it. Already that's looking significantly better. Okay, so we have another clean wipe and we will attempt the dial gently. I'm just dabbing because I can feel the dial has a different texture. So the indices are raised. You can see it looks like a few of them have been glued back on again. Don't want to do any damage to them. I'm just going to be super careful. Being especially careful around the hands because God knows where I'd get a replacement set at 4 o'clock like this. So there is actually a big difference in the hand now that I've cleaned it up a bit. Okay, I think that's the most stressful part over so far. Someone commented on my last video that their dog was going crazy when I was playing with the bellows. So, honestly, I can't resist but to do it again. Yeah, as you can see, the movement itself looks to be in good shape. It is dusty, but the gears being so big, I think that should be fine. I'm hesitant to go near it because I don't want to cause more damage, because it could be running fine. Apparently this was working just fine before it was put in the attic, so I'd be very slow to start poking around in there, at least before I get it working. So the plan is now try and fix some of the broken wooden parts, and we'll see where that takes us. Again, if I missed the last video, this is dated 12/11/55. No other date reference for this clock, but that does tie in with the approximate age that I think it should be. But that could be the year it was gifted rather than the year it was made. So I had mentioned in the last video I thought there was more pieces missing across at the top, but I'm trying to work with this jigsaw of 4 pieces, which doesn't sound that difficult, but it was incredibly difficult to figure out how these pieces slotted together. This here was the clue that helped him figure it out. So this obviously has a small bit broken here, and I was trying to figure out these hooks, what could they possibly be for on the top of the clock. And then I noticed the angle of these and thought, hang on a minute. So I lined it up. Lined it up at the top. It's on the little pin I pointed out there. And then this hook comes around and hooks it in. So you can see there, that's now held in place until I drop it. But once I realise that goes there, it kind of helped me in figuring out how the rest of it goes. So this one here, and then this one will sit on top here, and then this, which is broken in 2 pieces, fit into this. They'll all sit together on top there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start gluing all these pieces together. And once I have them all fixed together, I will stick it on the clock. So again, I'm only going to use a small bit on this. I'm not trying to permanently fix it, I'm just trying to get it to hold enough so I can come back at a later date with the appropriate wood glue. So one thing I find about gluing wood that's snapped is you can kind of feel when it sits right. The grain will all line up and you can get them to sit where they should. So while that one is gluing, I'll move on to these two. This is a bit of a trickier one because you can see it's been glued in place a few times now. But you can see right here what I was saying, the grain just lines up and it just locks in when it's right. So I've made sure to apply the glue on the back side of the wood, so if there is any excess, which there will be in this case a little bit, it is on the unseen portion of the clock. Okay, so this is very lightly glued together, so I don't want to touch it too much, but I do want to get the three pieces together if at all possible. Oh, I don't know about this one, there is just such a big gap from where it's previously been repaired. I think it may need a bit of putty or something to hold it. I'll try a bit more of the glue, but I think that's going to be a bigger job than I had hoped for. You can get an accelerant spray for super glue that will basically accelerate how quick it locks in place. I probably should have got some of this for this project, but we'll see now. Can we get that to stick? And then once we have that stuck in place, this piece then will somehow fit in here. We can actually use the engraved lines there as a guide to help us get it in place, but there is a lot of glue residue in there from previous repairs that are going to make it difficult for me, I think. Because it's such an awkward shape as well, I can't even leave it flat to try and get it to stick together. That seems to have held anyway there, thankfully. It's not the tightest bond, but it is holding for now. So I'm going to attempt to scrape off some of the residual glue in there. be clear, this isn't exactly a guide, this is just me trying to figure out as I go, because I am absolutely not an expert on repairing antique cuckoo clocks. You kind of just have to work it around until you can feel it's in the right spot. I just don't like how big the gap is that it's leaving. I'm not sure if that's caused by the previous glue, because there is, like, look at that big bead of wood glue that isn't coming off. So I think that's hindering getting a perfect connection. I think about there's probably as close as I'm going to get it. So I'll try glue it on and we'll see how it goes. So that's looking pretty lined up. I'll just hold it now until the glue starts to set. It's easier said than done though. So there's a big chunk off the back, you can see. It's obviously a sliver gone missing. I didn't see it there in the box, so I'm kind of just working on what I have. It's more important that the front is fixed than the back, but yeah, it's unfortunate the level of damage to this clock. Yeah, look, I can fill that in with filler. I'll take another bit of wood or something as well. So yeah, that's basically it. It looks quite well actually together, and it will sit like that across the top of the clock. I'm not going to put it in place with the hooks yet because I really don't want to risk splitting the glue, but it should hook on where it is now, and already the clock looks significantly better than what I started working with. Again, this chain can be brought back to this, but maybe an ultrasonic cleaner or something would be the best mode of attack for that. I'm just not quite sure. Funnily enough, the way I cleaned this was I actually hooked this onto my own keys, and it's just been rattling around in my pocket for the last 4 months to bring it back to this. I mean, I think I'd like if I could get the rest of the chain back to this. It's not like it's brand new, but it's not far off either. Like, it looks very, very clean. I could always replace the chain, and if it is going to be a silver chain with brass hooks, I could probably get a brass chain for the whole thing. Okay, so I'll pull this off now and let it have time to cure properly. So the next thing to do would be to basically see, can I get this working? So what I'm doing now is I'm going to untangle the chains, basically go from there, see what's what. That is not on camera there, but I just have a knot of chains that I'm going to have to untangle. having hooks on the end of the chain isn't exactly making it the easiest to untangle, but it's not as bad as I had first expected either. Okay, there's our first one untangled. Oh, another one popped off. Okay, so some of them have hooks on the end, some of them have loops. Here's where one of the ones with loops has broken off, but it's just a link that has popped loose. Easily fixed. Just have to pinch it back in place when I know it is on the right or correct chain. So this chain is looped from the bottom, the rest of them in through the side, but I don't think it's meant to be in there. Yeah, it looks like it's just hooked in. See, can I get it out there? I'll try get tweezers and see can I persuade that out. If I can pry it out, I'll try this. Curved tweezers here now. Apologies if my head gets in the way. Okay. That was a lot easier than I expected. Okay, so there we have it. We have our 4 chains out and free. Just by looking at it, I'm guessing this looped one that was broken goes on the outside, and the hook that was missing goes on the inside. That is purely a guess, but it is all I have to work with at the minute, so we will hook it on and take it from there. Just trying to rehook these little links. They're a tad fiddly. That is hooked back on there, so that is this one here. Then we have the somewhat polished hook that I will be putting onto this link here. There we have it, the chain untangled and the broken parts connected back on. Kind of at a loss to where to go from here. It's more than I expected to get done in the one sitting, but we'll plough ahead and see what happens. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hang it on a wall and try hang the weights on and the pendulum and just see what happens, see where we go from here. Okay, so here we have the clock on the wall, and the chains are running quite long. Okay, so let me try and figure out what goes where. The pendulum, let me see that, yeah, you can see the pendulum there, goes here. honestly don't know anything about cuckoo clocks, so I probably should have done some more research even into what goes where. I mean, obviously these weights go onto these hooks, but I don't know on what side they should go. Okay, so that doesn't look right anyway. That's not right. That pulls that one. And that pulls that one. So, as I said, I did hook this new one back on this side. Maybe it should have gone on the one over here instead. Not really too sure where to go from here. This one doesn't pull. This one doesn't pull. This one pulls. I'm not too sure. Actually, this. Okay, so this is the one I incorrectly put on. So this one needs to come off and swap with the hook. So I can readjust the chain length again, but I'm just going to pop off this hook, put it onto the one that has the, pop off the loops, should I say, pop it onto the one that has the hook. There, and I will pop on this hook. So that's got wrapped around there. So we're getting pretty close now with this project. I do have a tendency to just say, ah yeah, I'll give it a go, make it work. So it is always nice when a project starts to look like I might actually be able to finish it. So I do have a few unfinished and unstarted projects sitting there waiting to be worked on. I think this video is probably running a bit long at this stage, so I'll get this on and see what happens, and then I might just call it a day, because it is getting a bit late in the day and I don't want to make a mistake at this point in the project that causes me to do some damage that I really didn't need to do. Okay, that should be enough to hook it on. Cool. See what happens. So we'll just wait and see now how that times. Okay, so we can see that is completely stopped now. Right. So I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm pretty happy with today's progress. I have it cleaned up pretty nicely from very basic point of view. I have this piece glued together. It's holding pretty well. I'm going to leave it down somewhere safe overnight and let it solidify completely. And I might have another look at this tomorrow, see where I can get to it. I'm pretty confident now that seeing all the chains moving and everything working, I think I will be able to get it going. I'm pretty hopeful now. So yeah, I think a great step forward in the project, and if I can get it running, I'll do a bit more work to try and clean it up a bit nicer. But yeah, it'd be brilliant to get this running and back into my wife's family. So yeah, look, I'm going to leave it there and hopefully not have so long until part 3, which will hopefully be the final part of this series, unless I take it further with the restoration. But yeah, look, thanks for following along with the journey. It's probably going to be a bit of a long video, so if you've made it this far, thanks very much, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can see the next installment. And yeah, if you have any advice for me at all, any books I should read or videos I should watch, drop a link in the description below, because I'm pretty interested in this and I wouldn't mind tackling more of them in the future, so long as I can get this one to work first. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.